Hello, my name is Masellis, and welcome to my show, Critical Root Zone, where we dig deep with inquiring minds to get to the root of sustainability, going below the surface to rebuild trust while supporting all voices on our journey to a climate-positive planet. For the following 4-episode series, we'll be talking to Tennessee House Representative Bob Freeman. Bob has a degree in construction management from Middle Tennessee State University. He got his master's in sustainability at Lipscomb University, VP at Freeman Webb. He served on the board of the Tennessee Environmental Council, Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, Metro Sustainability Advisory Committee, and more. Too many more for me to say because it would just be a lot of words. Bob is my friend who I trust. He's a loving husband and a great dad, and we share a love for martial arts, which you'll know more about later. So you might ask, why do we want to talk to this guy, Bob Freeman? Well, I'll tell you. After years of doing my own personal research and life improvements to do my part to protect Mother Earth, I truly believe that the only way to create lasting, unified change is through policy. We're going to discuss the ways in which this happens, the process, and how my generation and those to come can feel empowered and heard. So without further ado, welcome Bob to the Critical Root Zone. Welcome back, guys. We're still kicking it with Bob Freeman, Tennessee House Representative. We're in the 3rd episode now. We're getting into the thick of it. So we covered how Bob and I know each other, who he is, why he's important, why y'all should know who he is in Tennessee, especially episode 1. And then episode 2, the previous one, I don't feel like the numbers are right, but in the previous episode, we talked more about policy and about how to get your voice heard, and at least looking into what you're passionate about, researching, finding ways to connect with people in the community. And now we're going to get into how to vote for policy versus politics, or, we all know how to vote for the president. We all know when that comes around, but voting for policy and the things that we're passionate about. So without further ado, we're gonna pick Bob's brain a little bit more about exactly that. I will say that people my age feel powerless, I should say. We feel powerless, right? We don't know how to say what we want, or we kind of give up in that respect. And voting, we touched on this in episode 1. I missed a primary, and I feel silly because I was like, wait, this is now my stuff. This is what I want to be better at. And I got a phone call literally the day and was like, hey, are you voting? I'm like, well, I don't even know what this is, but I'm going to try. So, like, if you were me, where would you start with this whole voting situation, and what's,
Well, I mean, first and foremost, vote. I mean, that's it, because the reality is elected officials are trying to get elected,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're going to talk to people who vote, and they're going to listen to people who vote. And so by just voting, you will show up on lists of likely voters, likely turnout voters, and so you'll get more knowledge and more contact just by voting.
Yeah.
So that's number one.
Vote. Number one. Vote.
Number one. Number 2, make sure that your issues are understood. The one that I always like to share is, if you poll cannabis legalization, either medical or recreational, across our state, it's anywhere from 60 to 80% popular. So 8 out of 10 people want to legalize cannabis in the state of Tennessee. It can't get out of committee, meaning it can't get 6 votes. So we have a minority of representatives representing a view that doesn't reflect their constituency.
Majority. Right.
And so by people not asking about it and it not becoming campaign issues, it never comes up. So people get to be quiet, and if they're totally against ever legalizing cannabis, and they never have to answer the question, then the voters never know where they stand on it. So when they vote on it, it's a surprise.
Right.
And that carries over to everything: environmental policy, women's rights issues, healthcare, all of these items. You need to ask, and you need to be polite, But you need to ask. You need to ask people where they stand. Every single person who serves in this Tennessee State House of Reps and the State Senate works for all of your listeners.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
They don't work for themselves.
Right.
They are representing their constituents. They are representing the people of Tennessee. And we are elected not to do exactly what everybody says. I'm not going to agree with everybody, but I'm going to listen to everybody. And I'm gonna make sure that your views are heard, and that as I'm making a decision, that it goes into my calculus. And that's how you get engaged, and that's how you understand. You've got to ask the direct questions.
And then so these to vote for you, right? You said we talked about how you have 2-year terms, and this year coming up in August.
Yes.
So what other election, like what else should we be on the lookout for if we're going to be voting again for you, or whoever else is out there? So like what's coming up? What's coming up?
So we have state and federal elections on the same ticket, and then we have municipal elections usually in an off cycle. So we'll have this year we had all of our judges races a couple of months ago, which was end of May, or what? I don't even know what month it is. March,
April. It was recent.
Yeah, so it was this month.
Primary was recent.
Yeah.
It's okay. You
kind of lose track of time. So it was this month. So we have our primary elections, which are partisan primary elections in May, and then all those judicial races plus the DA will be on the ballot in August, which is the primary for all the partisan statewide elections. So that's State House, State Senate if it's up, U.S. Congress, U.S. Senate if it's up, governor. Yeah, governor. And then if it's a presidential race, it'll be president. So every single elected body that you can think of, there's a chance that it can all be up. The Senate races are every other year based on the numbers. I don't know what it is. I think it's every other year is even, and then it's odd. State Senate seats. State House races are up every year. U.S. Congress are up every year. President's obviously up every 4 years, along with governor.
And State House is every year?
Every election cycle.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you. Every 2 years.
Okay.
But it's every election cycle. So
Yeah.
you will have an election cycle, non-election cycle, election cycle, non-election cycle. And in the off-cycle years, you will have municipal races. So
and that's like the
council, mayor's races. And those, at least in Nashville, are nonpartisan. So you will have a primary, which is to get, if they're 5 people, you get the top 2 vote getters, and then they will go into a runoff.
Right.
And that runoff is, I think, 45-ish days after. And
so we're going to have that from this most recent primary. We're going to have the top people, right?
You will have the most recent people in August who won their primaries that will be running for statewide office. So next year, you'll have all your council races and mayor's race.
Interesting. And now council, I didn't know anything about that until a few years ago. Council members. Is that everywhere? Council members?
Everywhere where? What do you mean?
In every state or every...
So they're called aldermen in some areas. They're called committee members or committeemen or council members. They're different names, but it's a governing body. It's the legislative body. If you think of government as legislative, judicial, executive, we're the State House and State Senate is the legislative, judicial is courts and Supreme Court,
right? And
then executive is the governor's in office. On a municipal level, the council is the legislative body. Mayor's office is the executive. So it's the same kind of split.
So municipal and the council members that we have, which you said we have 40?
I think it's 40.
And it's by district.
Yes.
Now, getting to know those people is great.
Yes.
Getting to know your council members because they report directly, or that's just, I feel like I'm looking at the big tree. I'm looking at the roots, right? Like I'm looking at the scheme of things. And so if you know the council members and you can get your point across to them, they're also spreading to you guys? Like, are they
sort of? So we do work together a little bit, but
is it more like a specific issues within your immediate area?
Yeah.
And because it's just so confusing to me, I'm like, okay, well, if I have an issue that's big about sustainability,
Right.
I'm going to you. Like I'm going.
And see, I always recommend anybody that knows me, ask them or tell them, ask me. I will help navigate. If I can't solve the problem, and
You're about
it's
to
a
have so
federal-
many emails.
and I'm happy to do it. I really am. If I can't help you, and it's a federal issue, I'll connect you with the correct federal person. If it's a municipal issue, I can call Metro and or a council member and see if we can get it solved. But
Metro.
yeah, but you've got to. I mean, the problem that you see in a lot of politics is a lot of this. Is, it's not my problem, it's their problem, and then you get to them and they go back and it's not my problem,
that's
it's their
real
problem.
fun, yeah.
And so you end up with this kind of circular, problem solving or problem trying to figure out how to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And so yeah, anything, happy to help. Call your state rep. Call whoever you have the best relationship with, and
They should be able to help you.
They should be able to help you. And if they can't, they should be able to direct you to the right place to get your problem fixed.
Yeah.
So
man, it takes effort. It takes work.
right.
And I personally feel like it's worth it. I feel like I have purpose being here because I'm more involved and because I know more about where I live. I know that I have a voice more than others sometimes, so I take advantage of that. I take that as a personal responsibility because I just don't think everyone has the luxuries that I have. I have a lot of privileges that other people don't have. And we could go into there. We can go into that. It's the level of how much money you have.
Sure.
Right? Wealth is power. Wealth is where change can get created. You don't have money, it's hard to create change.
Right. Well, and so I mean, this is maybe way off the line of what we're trying to talk about, but
Go there.
When the government was created, it was created to remove, in some instances, and well, you can actually debate that whether that's true or not. But the idea and the deep idea of how government is created is we're a representative government.
Right.
It should remove the benefits of power and wealth. If every single person votes, they get to elect people that can represent them. What's happening is because wealthy interest groups have decided they're going to muddy the waters. They're going to make you feel so powerless that you don't go vote. They're going to make a whole group of people feel like they don't have a voice, so they're just going to completely disengage and just feel completely helpless. And when that happens, special interest groups and large money can swing elections. And if we have 10% of the populace voting, it's easy to swing an election.
Yeah.
When you get the power back is when you have every single person who can vote turning out to vote. And every single elected official has to answer to all of them, not just the wealthy 5-10% that fund their campaigns and show up and tell them what to do. It's everybody. It's every single Tennesseans, every single Nashvilleians, every single American. And that's how we turn the power.
And I mean, and getting everybody the ability to vote.
Sure.
Because I'm not well versed on what's happening at this point, but I know that there was a lot going on about voting, about not being able to mail in your vote, and what about, the elderly, and what about wasn't it recently that was an issue?
Sure. Yeah. We removed the ability to automatically send out absentee ballots for people under 65. So you have people who are 50 living in a retirement facility with their elder spouse, and maybe they're unable to get out. They can't automatically get an absentee ballot. Students, if you're 18 and if you register to vote, you go off to college. If you've not voted in person, you can't get an absentee ballot
Wherever you live.
Yeah. If you're a felon, you can't vote. You lose your voting rights.
Man.
And the process, I mean, without great privilege, and somebody really pulling strings for you, which, I mean, there are plenty of examples of wealthy, well-connected people who get felonies and they get the felony drop so they get their voting rights back. Where your average person, they don't have that ability. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know how to go about it, and they end up never having a voice again. And so decisions are made that allow them to continue to be second-class citizens.
Wow.
There's a great book called The New Jim Crow, and it talks a lot about exactly what that policy of not allowing felons to vote has been. Felons can, in some instances, not get loans. They can
my roommate, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not going to say his name, but my brother, like he's changed his life for the better, and he's a good human. He's got a kid.
Right.
You know, he deserves a voice.
Sure.
He can't do jack shit.
Right. Well,
Can't do anything.
you can be restricted work. You can be restricted, getting a mortgage. You can be restricted voting.
So changing
all
that,
these,
like,
right.
how do we change
That's
that?
Right. Well, and so what we've done is we've tried to make it easier to have, once you serve time, if you go through the whole process, you get sent to wherever and you serve your time and you get out. If you're good enough to get out, you should be able to vote again.
Well, the whole process of transition, I know, just this is a hot topic. Transitioning people from out of prison or jail, they don't have a fighting chance.
Sure.
So then, of course, you go back to criminal activity,
Right.
and of course, you get roped in with the wrong stuff because, why should I even try?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and what we have is there was a great campaign not too long ago that was ban the box. And so there's a box on most applications. Have you ever committed a felony? Yes or no? And so it was a lot of business leaders led the charge to be, show what best practices are to ban the box. And if you're not dealing with large amounts of cash and or vulnerable population, what difference does it make? I mean, why should I be able to not get a job because I committed a felony 15 years ago because I was trying to feed my family? And sometimes it was even, for not innocent reasons.
Yeah.
But many times it is. And many times it's our, the low income folks that don't have proper representation that get the book thrown at them.
So voting. Yeah, if you're young, I mean, you should be able to vote. You should go and figure out how to get your voters registration where your nearest precinct.
Yes.
Precinct. Look at me. I just got my voters registration in the mail, so I'm like, yes, I'm on there. I'm in the system. Can't you can always find me. No, but if you have the ability to do it, you got to do it. And that's a personal goal of my own, is to just be more aware of when these elections are happening. And like you said, you can dumb it down. Find who your district representative is. Find who your House and Senate, who your reps are, instead of looking at the giant big picture. And so the next one to look out for, August.
That's it.
And now, is there a name for that one? Like, what's the name
it's
for that
the
one?
August statewide primaries.
Statewide primaries.
I want to add one thing to it. And whenever I go vote, I recognize how fortunate I am to have the opportunity to vote. Mm-hmm. And not too long ago, there were whole groups of people that could not vote. Full stop. They could not vote. Women, people of color could not vote. And we have fought to get the ability for everybody to vote, and not voting because of whatever reason, go vote.
Yeah.
Have your voice. Make sure your voice is heard. Early vote if you need to. You're supposed to get time off work if you want to go vote on election day. But the sacrifices that have been made in this country to ensure that everyone can vote are, I think, being disrespected if you just decide not to vote.
Yeah.
You've got to go make sure that you're being represented.
I'm so glad you said that. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So go vote, people. Go vote.
Go vote.
Truly. So what do you guys think about voting, man? Does your vote count? Stay tuned for the next episode where we get deeper into the root zone with Bob Freeman. And we're going to continue talking about policy and making votes count. Don't forget, you can shoot me an email at criticalrootzone@gmail.com, because I'd love to hear from you, whether or not you have something to say about this podcast. You have a question for me, for Bob, I'll connect you. But I want to hear from you because your voice matters. And until the next episode on CRZ, just remember to ask questions, inspire others to be better, and together anything is possible. All right. See you next time. Thank you for listening to Critical Root Zone. If you'd like to reach out, email us at criticalrootzone@gmail.com. Critical Root Zone is produced in Nashville, Tennessee. Copyright 2022.